Hi, welcome to ADK Rock and Metal channel. My name is Kirk and I'm delighted to have on the show tonight the Sheffield death metal unit, Terminal Sun, and we're going to be talking about their debut album, All That Will Burn Is Already on Fire, which was released on the 6th of July, 2024. I'm just going to go straight into it. First question is really for Simon and Gary, because I'm familiar with that band that you were in. I know of the band Reprobate, who were like an underground darling, weren't they, of the 90s. So you two have been writing music since 1989. Now, after 35 years, you finally have a metal album to your name. How does it feel? Have you released any music outside of the metal genre over the last 2 decades?
Before we start, let's just say 30 of them years what have passed, we didn't write any music.
Okay, so 5 years.
No. 20 of them years that passed, me and Simon never saw each other. No. I moved to Greece for 8 years, so I was totally off the map. Accidentally, we came back together. If you continue this story or more about
we got a 16 years after we'd released Tranquility's Abortion. As a bit of a joke, we put Wicker Man, the track off that demo, into Terrorizer's Best Unsigned Band competition, and it was a joke, and we won. So
how many years later was it?
4 years later.
14.
No, it was 16 after it had come out, and then we had a 20th anniversary gig where we all got together finally, and and then there was some talk about us doing some other stuff, and it fizzled out. Gary had joined another band after he came back from Greece with Bish and Kev. They were in Back to the Sea, so they were doing. They got a band together, and well, you can carry on with that, Bish.
Back to the Sea. So yeah, Back to the Sea band for quite a few years. It was very much the sort of beginnings of what we're doing now. Really, it was extreme metal without boundaries. Maybe you could describe it. It had a bit of everything in it. It was always every track was a journey. It started somewhere. It never verse chorus, never kind of formulaic, and I think that's what enticed you in, was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Gary joined, and you supported us at the 20th anniversary gig, didn't you?
I played twice.
Yeah, so you played twice. And I were busy doing medieval reenactment, so I were busy every weekend going and beating people up. And I decided to quit that, and it just coincided with Back to the Sea looking to sort of revamp. The singer and the guitarist left. So then they called Adam in, who used to be in Epinacus, big death metal band from Sheffield. So called Adam in, and Gary called me up and said, "Do you fancy doing some screaming again?" And it was like, "Absolutely, let's do it." So all a bit nervous when we got together, and it just clicked immediately. We just started jamming and stuff, and it was just like, yeah, this worked.
We kind of got 4 songs already in, which was the first incarnation of Threads, I suppose, the first EP we wrote. But when Simon and Adam came in, most of them songs got changed around again, which is pretty much our formula. How we do, we might bring in a riff, and you've got to be prepared to have it taken apart by somebody else, and might be said, actually, that'd be better if we do that, that'd be better if we do that. So nobody particularly writes their song, it's all
It's a full collaboration.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm a terrible musician, and I'm not a great singer either, but I'm really good at arranging things and knowing what works. So that's the lyrics and the helping out with the arrangements and stuff is kind of what I bring to the table with that. But yeah, musically, and everybody just pitches in, and there's no bad ideas. If we think it's going to work, we'll throw it in.
Yeah, can I just check then? So, have I interpreted this right? It wasn't explicitly at first it wasn't like, oh, Reprobate are getting back together and then they've renamed the band. It was this. What Back to the Sea? Did you say the artist?
Yeah.
So you two members had left that band. You reached out, and you've just ended up obviously with two members of Reprobate and Appinicus in there.
I joined 5 years into. They only had one guitarist at the time, and when I came back from Greece, as it happened, Simon, who used to play for Reprobate, knows Bish, and Bish approached him and he said, "Well, I don't want to do that, but I know this other guy who does." So he asked me if I wanted to do it. So when I went down to learn the stuff, to play the stuff, I learned 2 or 3 tracks before I went down, which impressed the hell out of your guys. And I played songs with them. I don't know where I was going with this. it was that.
You were the last to join, weren't
you? The changes happened, so it's kind of back to C plus Gary from Reprobate, and then Gary from Reprobate, and Simon from Reprobate. And then
I come in at the same time as Simon. We'd obviously played in Sheffield in gigs with Appinicus and stuff like that over the years. Yeah, we all supported each other back in the day, didn't we? Yeah. So we all knew each other anyway. So back in the MySpace age. Yeah.
Do you know one of them super groups that people put together?
You are a Sheffield super.
We are Sheffield royalty.
Reprobate, incidentally, was the first death metal band to come out of Sheffield.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
I mean, mainly in 94 we finished. So we'll go from 90 to 94.
And Reprobate was the first death metal band I ever watched.
Well, that's where I was going with it. He came and watched me and Simon when he was a little whippersnapper, 15 years old.
What was the venue?
Alhamshire Hotel on West Street, which is now weirdly reopened as a live venue again, but we used to play there every other month. We were in there all the time, so it was our sort of home from home. But yeah, there were good times, but yeah, I mean that's all past now. We're this is better.
It definitely sounds re-energized. I mean, it is easy to call the music death metal, but you're not overly reliant on blast beats and breakneck speed. And the bass at times, I love the production. It's often the loudest instrument in the mix without, don't get me wrong, the guitars are still very crunchy. So what are your influences outside death metal, though? Because I wouldn't say this is in any way an orthodox death metal record.
It varies, doesn't it, from person to person? Yeah, it's all different for all of us, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like, I listen to anything from sort of like one of my main influences like Meshuggah, but then go right through to sort of like Massive Attack and stuff like that. Lana Del Rey even. So, anything really. If I like it, I like it. That's it, basically how it is for me. Yeah.
I grew up listening to Adam and the Ants and got into metal, but I always loved me goth as well. Feels the Nephilim are a massive influence. But I like a lot of alternative, like 16 Horsepower and Woven Hand, and old UK goth bands, and then into most extreme black metal. Absolutely love Watain. So yeah, but I'll listen if it's good. I'll listen to it. I don't care what genre it's in.
Same for me.
Don't limit ourselves.
We did say from the beginning, didn't we? We weren't going to write to any genre. We were just going to write music and put it out.
Yeah,
that's where we are.
I think we're starting to realise that's a more bold choice than we actually, anticipated when we made it.
I think because of that, people have a problem in categorising what genre it is.
They do.
A lot of the reviews have been like genres going all over the place. I mean, you can probably tell that. I think you probably wrote that a little bit as well, but. Yeah, it's hard to put in a pigeonhole, I think.
The thing is, what we don't want to be is boring. Yeah. We don't want to get up on stage and play the same song 8 times to people who are going, yeah, well, that's all right, but it sounds, that song sounds like that song. When you come to one of our shows, you're taken on a journey, and there's a lot of emotion in there as well, and it's that storytelling thing. It's the going back to like Iron Maiden and whatever, where the songs were all a story. And the one thing when we first got together, we were all trying to find some common ground. And the one thing that we were all adamant that we were all into was Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds album, which we all had as kids.
Yeah, massive thing.
And you can tell with the album, with all the the bits that link and all that sort of stuff. It's like there's definite influence of that sort of concept album up there, and bit of proggy stuff on there, and
it's all going to have an impact on us. I mean, for me, I was brought up on stuff like Beatles and Yellow and Creedence Clearwater, so there's like the whole sort of kind of dad rock, prog rock thing for me. That's a huge thing, and then there's a huge gap where I don't listen to much until like more modern prog metal. Do you know what I mean? That's my two polar sides for that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm the same. I mean, even though I write for a metal publication, most of the time I just seem to be listening to Depeche Mode, to be honest. In between albums. And I even went through a phase this year of just going through every English synth pop band, including that Sheffield band Thompson Twins. And to be fair, one or two of their albums were quite good as well. So, but yeah, I mean, do you know what I heard when I put this album on? I really like that Celtic Frost comeback album from 2006 called Monotheist. And I think the production on your record and guitar tone, it reminds me of that. So straight away, I think that's where it got my attention, because for me, that is the heaviest album of the 21st century.
Totally brutal album, that. Absolutely.
I'll take that.
It's almost difficult to listen to, actually, because it is so stark. So yeah, well, we'll take that.
And the thing is, you're experimental like Tom G. Warrior and Celtic Frost, and I always look for that, because there's even a track on this album, can't remember the name of it, which you could class it as post-rock. It's like an interlude track with clean guitar, and it's really got this maudlin anxiety to it. Can you just remind me which song that is on the album?
McCreed. Oh yeah, it's just on a single guitar. Yeah.
It just fits so well, as a transition piece. And I'm going to actually say this. I think we could probably describe this music as post-death metal.
Well,
we've invented a genre tonight.
You want to describe it as that? That's
fine. You need to start spreading the word that you're the pioneers of this. Can I, just on a light-hearted note, before I go on to the next question, this is for those of you that have children. What do your kids think of this music?
Well, this was my kids, and yours. Yeah, your daughter, Gary. They were just old enough to see us on the Reprobate reunion show. So it was so nice to be able to go and play that, and my kids, who were used to see me running up and down in a battlefield and with my armour on, but never saw that other side to me. And they got to come to that show, and that was great. Not realising that a few years later they'd be drafted into doing all the t-shirt modelling and running some of the social media and standing on the merch stand for us. So no, they're really involved. And yeah, they love it. They're into the metal anyway. So
yeah, my daughter's got Terminal Sun on a Spotify thing. She's also got some record. I remember actually when we did, because my daughter, when she was 12 years old, she was into Britney Spears. So I'll do this quickly. And then I just heard this song, and I think it probably Slipknot. I do it, and I said, listen to this. She left Britney Spears behind and went into metal. She learned how to growl. She could do death metal vocals at 12 years old. And then, so I gave her my old Reprobate. She loved The Wicker Man. And then when we got together, she came to practice and she actually had a go at singing it. And Simon stood by. She's she still does it a bit now, but not as much. But
that's how to raise her.
She just buys Terminal Sun stuff all the time. They got every beanie, every top.
The thing is, they're old enough now to appreciate it, and they're old enough now where we don't have to look after them anymore. So we've got actual time to do this now. It's time, particularly when you get to our age. It's we've just added a keyboard player as well, so we've got about 300 years of musical experience in the band now.
See, do you know what makes me laugh is normally, like say you're in your 20s, you're like, oh, my dad's covers band are playing on Friday. I'll have to go along. Can you come with me? I'll be bored. But in this case, it'd be my dad's death metal band are playing in Rotherham or Sheffield, and the birds are like, what? There's a really extreme industrial death
metal band. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, what you're saying, kids. My kid's 28 years old this year. Yours is 28. I think they were born within about 6 months of each other. Yeah. So they're not kids. It's all how old Simon are. So.
That's funny. Can I go on to something a bit more serious? I was actually watching an interesting video preparing for this interview. So it's really about, the antipathy that most people have towards Spotify and how streaming has removed the incentive for people to buy physical units of vinyl and CD. And on top of that, we now live in an age where it's also cheap to produce high quality sounding music. You don't need to go to a studio. So how has the current musical consumption and production environment helped Terminal Sun, and how has it disadvantaged you?
Well, in terms of the recording experience, we go into the studio, we're old school. We have a guy called Tom Henthorne, who's a really well-known music producer and sound guy in Sheffield, and he's very reasonable. And but I like the whole. I don't want to be sat in I've got a studio upstairs, but I don't want to be sat in there recording individual parts. And it's a group. This is a group. It's a group experience. When we go into the studio,
we're all in there.
We're all in there. We don't miss, for the mix and everything. Every bit of recording, generally, when we can, we will all be in there because we're all listening for. Things getting messed up, there's a drum out here, or there's this, get rid of that. And so, but I love the process, the creative process of putting the album together is fantastic. It's a real artistic process. So yeah, in terms of recording, our rehearsal room is actually set up, it was Tom's original studio, so we can actually turn it back into a recording studio, and we have talked about it, but I just miss that extra bit of input.
You can't put a price on the input that a producer can give you.
No.
They can give you a little bit of, why don't you try this? I never thought of that. And it's just that extra little bit of.
Yeah, and he's not a metal producer either, which is an interesting spin. Because he's just a producer who loves sound, so he's not made. I don't believe he's done anything metal before or anything as heavy as this. So he's working from what we give him, which is really important.
And he does listen, we've had disagreements about things, but he does listen, and he will. But it's that freshness, and a lot of the people have picked up. Well, it doesn't sound like it's not a death metal production really. It's like a classic rock album in a way that's got death metal on it.
Way it flows.
And that's
and it mixes it in a way that it wants to own each individual sound. It's not creating a wall of sound, which a lot of traditional death metal would do, especially like Reprobate was in the early days. That was just a typical wall of sound like we get. But now we're older, we want to hear these things, and he can hone in on them and pull these little bits out.
Yeah, he's got a good ear for the different sounds that we wanted, sort of thing. So yeah,
and he'll understand the what we're trying to do with the sound as well, because there are elements of the production that have to fit the narrative. For instance, in Metamorph, the bass is quite prominent in a lot of Metamorph, because actually the bass is taking the character of the creature. So when you listen to it, the bass is actually the creature moving through the song effectively. So that's and we'll like describe things like that to him, and he'll get it, and then he'll know that he's got to put a bit of emphasis on that. But yeah, it's and to answer your point about Spotify, well, yeah, it's in terms financially, we're not really in this now for the money. It's been absolutely amazing looking at all the figures coming through. I mean, we still consider ourselves a small band from Sheffield. We don't do tours. we do one-off gigs. You know, we're old. We don't want to be stuck in a band with these people. It's no, I mean, it's.
You don't want to be stuck in a band with me. That's
what I actually wanted to say, but I was being there.
Not when you've been eating sausages. Yeah, he eats his own compartment.
But yeah, just in terms of as a tool to reach anyone in the world incredibly fast, it is absolutely invaluable.
Yeah.
And although the financial, you know, I think we're getting close to making $50 off Spotify in the entire time the band's been together. But then saying that, we've never really pushed the two EPs. Never really got pushed. In fact, we subdued Metamorph. We put Metamorph out at a time when we got them recorded, but actually they were the sort of first album sessions, really.
Yeah.
And then we ended up playing Bloodstock.
Yes,
and we needed something to put out there, really. So we released it out there, but we didn't promote it at all, really.
Bloodstock, incidentally, was our third gig.
Yeah.
Did you win that Metal to the Masses for Sheffield?
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, so it was on hiatus for 18 months.
Yeah.
After a pandemic.
And the first gig after 2 years was Bloodstock.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But the second gig we did was in a graveyard, so yeah.
Did you shoot a music video as well while you were there?
Yeah, they took. You can pay for footage off it, but I don't know. I think we're much better than we were then. we're a bit rusty then. It was. We went on at 10 o'clock in the morning, so we were all a bit. But yeah, I mean, it was great. There were loads of people in there for that time, and they all enjoyed it. So we just need to have a word with Simon Hall and get him to book us for next year now.
Yeah.
I do. I'm one of the judges on the Metal to the Masses panel for if Simon can't make it for the Sheffield Heats. So I know Simon quite well, and the guys down at Corporation and Neil Turner and whatever. So yeah,
you are royalty then if you're on the panel of judges.
Well, that's
super group that is Terminal Sun.
I
I mean, our nearest one. I'm originally from Lancashire, but I currently live in Stevenage, Hertfordshire. You know, in between Cambridge and London. And the nearest Heat is a town called Hitchin.
Yeah.
Really strong scene here. A lot of like doom metal, sludge metal, thrash. Really strong scene. And so Simon comes and judges that. But maybe that's some. I don't know if you'd be willing to travel outside of Yorkshire. We should try and get you playing at Club 85.
I don't know about that.
Like too near to London.
We've been branching out into Manchester recently, but no, we'll go anywhere, to be honest. If we get asked, we'll go. But we're like I say, tours. If it happens, it happens. But we're not sort of aggressively, pursuing a 20-day up and down the country tour. Or whatever. But
we all work full time.
Yeah.
We do it all on our own terms, don't we? And it seems to work for us. So yeah.
To be honest, I'm quite happy to play to 100 people that are absolutely into it and and loving it. But we seem to win everybody over wherever we've played.
That's what blows me away. How many people are
the reactions afterwards are just phenomenal, and the thing is as well, the Sheffield scene at the moment is absolutely so buoyant. There are so many good bands coming out of Sheffield at the moment. We're kind of, we're obviously part of that scene, and they're obviously a lot younger than us, but a lot of them sort of look up to us and whatever, and we look after them and put them on gigs and stuff like that, and everybody's just helping each other out. There's no bitching or backbiting or
it's good at minute.
It's just a really, really good feeling, when you go out and people are just helping each other out. It's great.
Yeah, it is strong though. We've interviewed quite a few bands from Sheffield. That hardcore band, Rough Justice.
Right.
The post-metal band, Gozer, they've been on here.
Yeah.
Bal. They're another band, aren't they?
Sound many times. He's a fantastic sound man, Craig from Goza.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've got there's an album out this week, isn't it, from a Sheffield band, Kurakuma, is it?
Yeah.
That I'll be reviewing that. I know they're well rated as well, like atmospheric sludge metal type music, isn't it? So, yeah, and even you've got the mainstream bands, haven't you? Bring Me the Horizon, are they from Sheffield?
Yeah.
Malevolence.
Malevolence, yeah.
While She Sleeps, I think they're from Sheffield. Yeah, big thing.
Yeah, it's really strong. Really is.
But going back to that, being old school, Spotify, I miss tape trading. I really do.
Tape trading, yeah.
You were silly nappies then, fella.
So the A of the ADK was a tape trader.
Yeah, you send a cassette to Brazil with hundreds of your mates' flyers in, and then they turn send them somewhere. It was just brilliant. It was just snail mail. It took ages, but it were good to receive a packet and then look at that. I do miss them days, but it is better that it's quicker now.
It's much quicker.
And Andy, so ADK channel is Andy, Dave and Kirk. Andy stopped listening to Sepultura when they got signed. You know, he was tape trading. He's older than me. He was tape trading Morbid Visions and Bestial Devastation, and remembers Obituary when they were called Executioner, and he's the same. He loves that era. Two more things before we move on to the album. So I know that your debut EP, I assume that's taken from that classic 1984 TV drama Threads with Reese Winsdale. Yeah, I have that on DVD.
Yeah.
So just remind me, is there like a theme to the band? Apocalyptic?
Really, it's I mean, the themes sort of follow. It's the idea of like man's eventual demise by his own hand. I guess that's the. I mean, we do branch out into other things, but generally it's quite a dour and gloomy kind of experience.
Many different flavors of the end of the world.
Yeah, if the end will come,
destruction of the world.
It's probably us what's caused it.
That's and you know,
not us personally.
Maybe even with them sausage.
Yeah, but there's no particular theme, but I do tend to go back to me nuclear devastation quite a lot.
But that was going back to the sea. That was Back to the Seas thing. Back to the Sea was let's go back to the sea. Press the reset button. We all did it and start again. Yeah. So it's the two concepts. Simon's brain of what he's got met up with the brain of what was Back to the Sea, and I think that's why it worked so well.
Yeah. And I love all the apocalypse movies. I love Mad Max movies and all that kind of thing. And Escape from New York. So it's definitely, if there is a theme, it's kind of being stuck in the 1980s. It's kind of that. It's that, you know, John Carpenter.
Futuristic dystopian films.
I mean, the
retro apocalypse.
Obviously, we've got Spirit of Dark and Lonely Water on there. That was a public information film that used to scare the shit out of me when I was a kid. And we just thought, you know what, we're just going to put the whole thing on. We're going to write some music to go with it. We've got Donald Pleasance on there. And,
that's who it is, Donald Pleasance. I thought it was John Hurt.
No,
I'm trying to work that out. Donald Pleasance, right? Okay.
I altered his voice to bring it a bit lower and slowed it down. And
he's from Worksop, isn't he, Donald Pleasance? Yeah. And John Hurt, I think, is from near you, Chesterfield.
Yeah, John. Yes, he was. Yeah.
Some legends around there. Yeah. So can I ask about the album then? So it's 54 minutes, and when I reviewed it, I consciously treated it as a side A and side B, and that really helped me get into it.
Yeah.
And not be overwhelmed by it. But I still got the impression you could have written even more. It sounds like a band that haven't squeezed every last drop of creative energy. Did you leave any songs or any music off this record?
We left lots of ideas.
Riffs then.
Brutally honest, we ran out of time.
So
we had to. We wrote a lot of stuff quickly and independently, and then gelled it together after. like a lot of the incidental stuff, so what you call them. Adam wrote McCready's, and then Parallels. I did the music for Donald Pleasant's thing. They did on the intro. So we just had to work separately, and then we brought them in.
Yeah. We ran out of time after about 4 years.
We couldn't practice, could we, for 2
No. I mean, it was we should have been a bit more productive during COVID.
And making the album actually went through 3 different recording studios. Had 2 floods, pandemic. And the recording of the album started in 2019. So here you go.
5 years it took to materialise.
Yeah, it was quite epic, and then we sat on it for a while, wondering whether we should like put it out to some labels, and it just like, what are we going to get from that apart from distribution of physical stuff? What are we going to get from it? And I'm not saying that we wouldn't sign to a label, but I'm a bit of a control freak with all that kind of stuff, and I don't really like people telling me what I can and can't do with things. And they're just like, you know what, let's put it out there. If somebody comes along and goes, actually, this is great, we want to license this, we want to do a distribution deal or whatever, fine. If somebody wants to, to put a second album out, we'll talk to them. But I think it was just the thrill of just doing it ourselves this time. We got one shot at this, this first album, and been waiting 35 years or whatever to get it.
Or 5 years in some cases, with 30 inactivity.
Yeah. So that was kind of why we did it, and it's been great. It's been great so far. Seeing reviews like yours just put a massive smile on us face, to be honest. It's so nice because we kind of live in a bit of a bubble. It's so nice that we're now getting reaction from people, because it's fine us banging away at it, and honing it and getting it right, and we do really work quite hard to get the things absolutely razor sharp. But then you don't know if people like it, and you can go play gigs and whatever, but the live experience is totally different to that. Sitting down with the whole album and listening to it and getting the whole thing, being able to read the lyrics, and it's just experiencing everything all at once. And every review we've had so far has been really positive. So it's been absolutely amazing.
We've all been blown away, haven't we? I think every review we've seen, we're like, I kind of want to see a bad one. I can't read one from someone that really doesn't like it. I've just been interested.
I think the most amazing thing is that every review we've read, as we say, they actually get it. They understand what we're trying to do.
It's not platitudes. I don't know why we deserve them. It's just by default, if that's the case. But you can tell people are really understanding it and what we're trying to do.
I think the other thing at this point as well is that it's so nice to get somebody totally independent that doesn't know us, that tells us how it makes them feel. Whereas, like, you can say to your mates, "What do you think to it?" and they're just going to go, "Yeah, it's very good," because that's a mate reaction, isn't it? Whereas with the reviews, it's people that don't even know us, so that makes it even more special, I think.
Yeah, just to put it into context for our viewers, so our sister organisation, Screen Blast Repeat, we've only awarded 9 out of 10 to 3 records this year. Yours is one of them. The other one is that hardcore, I don't know how you describe it actually, extreme metal band Mastiff. They're from Hull.
Oh yeah,
what an album that is. And then one that you might want to check out, a Swedish band called Horndale, and that's the name of the village where they're from, and they write concept albums about their village in Sweden. It's incredible. Progressive sludge metal. Sounds like you've heard of them. Yeah. So those are the 3 albums this year that have received a 9 out of 10 at Screen Blast Repeat, which is not impossible, obviously, because 3 artists have done it, but no one's ever going to score a 10, and we only reserve a 9 out of 10 for the ones that absolutely blow.
You haven't released that second album yet, so
No, I'll give you the shit review if you want.
But it's interesting.
You want to read a bad review, so the next one I'll give you 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
But it's quite interesting you said that, because I've been banging on at Jim for ages. Jim from Mastiff. We need to do because we did a few gigs with them in the early days.
Yeah.
And we did really well with them, and they said, "Oh, bring us to all." They said, "We're not coming to all. It's crap."
Yeah. They even said that to you.
You play gigs that time, bull. But it's like, and it's actually that great teddy bear anyway when you get to know it.
That new album is so good. Yeah. And it's only like 37 minutes. It's got a bit of a Meshuggah sound to it, hasn't it? Unlike the others as well, the guitar tuning.
That's not good value for money. You get 54 minutes without. I mean, we've got extra.
Yeah, yours is a progressive post-death metal album, as I'm christening it. So that one's just hits you in the face, doesn't it?
I was a bit concerned when we realised what the running time was, because we're gonna have to release it as a double album. I think
you would need to, wouldn't you? Yeah.
With 4 minutes, so it's have to be. So if anybody out there wants to release All That Will Burn Is Already on Fire as a gatefold sleeve double album, that'd be great.
Peaceful Records.
Well, it's actually kind of structured that you could do it that way. I mean, the structure on it, there are some albums that have just got perfect structure to them. I'll put probably Master of Puppets and Ride the Lightning follow that same path. And I think, although we've not followed that exactly, I think we've kind of come up with, the way the songs go, the way they flow, was very carefully put together. So it was definitely sort of designed to be that classic album sort of experience. Yeah.
Can we go around the table on that? I'm interested in what you said. To me, like a perfect structured album, I was thinking about this recently. The one I would go for is The Cure, Disintegration, their 1989 album.
Yeah.
Whenever I play that, especially side B, I just think this is incredible.
Yeah.
Can we go around the table? What, just out of interest, what would be each of you the idea of a perfect structured album? Putting you on the spot here.
All over the world.
Okay, yeah, actually, there you go.
I mean, for me, I think, although I don't particularly listen to Metallica much nowadays, but definitely when Ride the Lightning came out, and then they followed that same. If you look at the formats to the album, they're almost all the songs are in exactly the same position.
They are.
And it worked really well on Ride, so they followed it on Master of Puppets, and whatever people think about Metallica nowadays, those two albums are absolute classics.
But I think it's probably only just before that, and it might be the same time. I don't think you can take Power Slave away from Iron Maiden, but that album is one of the old times.
We were talking about recent influences, weren't we? The other day, and we all mentioned Rivers of Nile, The Works.
Yes, what an album!
Singular. Yeah. That had a big impact on me personally at the time in 2021 when it came out, and we all listened to it. And in terms of structure, that's very close to perfection.
He's left the band now, hasn't he? The vocalist.
That's right. Yeah. The bassist Adam Biggs has taken over. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That album, that was #2 album of the year in our top 50 for Scream Blast Repeat in 2021. Yeah, I agree with that. What about? Can we just finish it off then? What else would you say if we just get an answer from everyone on this perfectly structured album?
For me, I think I would probably say Rush's Moving Pictures. So also first album that I really listened to. Still blows me away today. Absolutely fantastic. Just love that band.
I think the band itself that can structure albums better than anyone else is System of a Down.
Okay.
You can't. Well, I personally can't listen to a little bit of System of a Down. It flows all the way through every time. Love them.
Yeah.
I think they got kind of squeezed into the new metal genre, which was a bit of a tragedy, but I absolutely adore System of a Down.
Yeah, they always had more of a Fifth No More Mr. Bungle angle to them, didn't they? Rather than new metal. Yeah, definitely agree with you. He's left the band now, though, hasn't he, Serge? Is that correct?
there's constant rumours that they're going to get back together, but I think the days are done, to be honest. But
yeah,
they left us with a lot of treasures.
Definitely. Yeah. So I'm just going to go on to, there's 3 songs I want to discuss on the album, because all of them are standout, but these ones really caught me. I love track number 3, which is, I've got to say, a strange title for a song. The Liquidators and the Liquidation of the Consequences of the Chernobyl Accident. What I love, that opening bass and drum combination. Now that's to me sounded like industrial music, like Godflesh, even that band Sumac. And I love how the guitars come in as well. And it's really quite a daunting song. It puts you on edge, doesn't it? And then you've got these sliding guitars over the top. And then you do get some bludgeoning, like syncopated mid-90s Sepultura type riffs. And I put this in the review. You feel like you're trapped in a radioactive proof hazmat suit for most of this song.
Yeah. Well, you hit the nail on the head with that one, because that's entirely what that song's about. Yeah. I mean, lyrically, I didn't feel AZ5 is the moment of the Chernobyl meltdown, effectively, from the perspective of the control room, and what I felt like there was more that I could say about it. I wanted to get into sort of the people who were responsible for actually dealing with the mess, the government, the Soviet government at the time, the lying and everything. They'd had to go in and clean that up, and that's who the Liquidators were. So it was a bit of a tribute song, really, to those guys.
We'd all just recently watched that Sky production, haven't we, as well?
Yeah.
So it really
that was a big influence at the time.
It was a massive influence. And then I started doing a lot of research and digging on it, and particularly what I wanted was, particularly with AZ, was I wanted a nuclear physicist to be able to listen to that song and not be able to pick anything out of it that was wrong. It had to be absolutely 100% bang on scientifically, which I think it is. I think it's fully fact checked, and and that was kind of the reason for the song, really, was the horror, or the 2 songs was the horror of what happened or what could have happened. It could have been so much worse as well. So yeah, it's an odd song. It's got that weird sort of bouncy sort of verse thing that I do vocally, and yeah, it was an odd one how it came together that way. But yeah, definitely unusual.
Yeah, I think I should say for our viewers, excuse language, this song is heavy as fuck as well, isn't it? There's no other way of articulating that. And the way that you've captured that growling bass guitar, which is really distorted, and then other guitars down tuned to drop B. Am I right in thinking?
Oh, standard B tuning.
Standard B.
Some strings, yeah.
That's what Carcass used, isn't it? On Necroticism, that's the tuning they use, isn't it?
So yeah, I think it was just so B standard. So yeah, all the strings relative, like in standard tuning, but to be
I love the guitar sound, and I keep saying it because I love that Celtic Frost album so much, and Triptychon, Tom G. Warrior's other band. I just put this on the same level. I'm like, yeah, just give me more of this, and you don't really hear much like that in extreme metal these days. I think there's a real perfectionism here, but it's still really rough as well.
Yeah.
And when we go to track number 9, which is another standout for me, Fragments. So quite late on, and you're still producing these standout songs. And this is probably like the first and only song on the album that does explore more of a mid-range guitar style. And it's like, I called it like a death metal take on, that Canadian band Voivod.
Yeah.
It just reminded me of...
Big fans of Voivod.
Yeah, exactly. And again, one of my favourite bands. And I like how you've really used the guitars to sketch out the vocal lines as well. They're really percussive, aren't they? And there's like panning of both guitars. in the ears. So how did that song come into existence then? Was it somebody puts it on an MP3 and you share it round in a WhatsApp group, or is this in a rehearsal room where it comes together?
It's all rehearsal room, really, isn't
yeah.
it? I mean,
Adam came with the idea of the riff, and then we just built on it, didn't we?
Yeah, so the main kind of, the first sort of main riff, call it a verse riff if you want. I don't think any of our stuff's got like a verse chorus traditional structure, but that came first, and then there's a really huge riff towards the end of it, which came in as another idea whilst I was at Woodstock. After we'd played, just sort of walking between different stalls or something, and I had a quiet moment to myself, and this thing just came into my head, and so it started for those two things coming together.
Yeah, love the
production. It's all collaborative, as I said before. It's all...
Everybody brings a snippet. It might only be a 10-second snippet. If it's a 10-second, hang on, if we double that up, play that, maybe even play it backwards, or can change that note to that, and that's how we build the songs. Nothing ever comes to the table and stays that way.
How can you hear anything with the bass so loud in the rehearsal studio? You must be feeling that in your chest.
You do feel it, but if you can't feel it, there's something wrong.
Yeah, true.
I think it's missing from so much metal that is all over the place, and there's no reason for it. There's no excuse.
No.
That's all.
I just love a distorted bass in the mix.
Well, I used to love a lot of old Pitch Shifter and Godflesh and all that kind of thing. So it's that's a real low rumble bass. Love it.
I had a bit of an ally, to be honest, when we were recording. Tom's actually a bass player, so he went out of his way, I think, to try and make sure that I got what I wanted.
So we all wanted it,
but we all wanted it. We all wanted the equal amount of everything, basically. You know what I mean? But yeah. So, but I have to agree with what Gaz says. In a lot of metal these days, bass is kind of really forgotten. It gets lost in the mix. I'm saying this probably as a bass player, but it does add a lot to music. That tone, but it's just getting that right tone, I think, as well. You know, getting that grit to it that really sort of like sits underneath the guitars and makes it a lot more chunkier. And
I think when we first started recording, I think we were the guitar tone always seemed a little bit top endy, and we were like, oh, this is not sounding quite how we, you know. But Tom was the one that went, trust me, because obviously all the frequencies that the bass has got, there's no point the guitar's like doubling up on those frequencies. So once you put the whole thing together, you don't need that extra bit of the guitar because the bass is actually doing that work. So it was a bit of a learning curve for us in terms of the technicalities of the recording, but we don't want the bass just being, you know, just following the guitars, and it's its own animal. It needs to be unleashed and roaming around.
This guy is no slouch as a bassist.
Often it's like you're doing a separate vocal lines with your bass. You know, you've got the guitars and you can hear that. I mean, is there any song where you're not using a plectrum? I just couldn't imagine you doing that without a plectrum.
No, I'm a pure pick player.
Yeah, because it's such a like heavy, sludgy sound, isn't it? You just couldn't do that with your fingers.
Yeah.
You won't get that definition with fingers.
No, I wouldn't. I would go back to like the difference between when Cliff Burton was playing bass in Metallica to when Jason Newsted came in. What they said that Cliff was just incredible anyway, but the difference when Jason came in, there was a lot more clarity to his playing, and that's just purely down to him using a pick, and that's how I've always played. So
if you just imagine Liquidators, the beginning of that play without a pick,
it wouldn't sound the same.
It'd muddy.
Well, it's bass guitar.
So
you know, I know you can play guitar without a pick, but
Love that sound. Yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah.
And then there's quite a departure for track number 11, The Space Between Two Deaths.
Yeah.
This is a black metal song, surely.
Is it? Oh,
It is. The guitar playing has that ascend to Valhalla type euphoria, you know, like sorrowful, tremolo, picking. You're not playing it at like 250 BPM, but I definitely got an element of that. Am I off the mark here?
No, absolutely not. No, it's definitely our black metal song on the album. That one.
But it weren't meant to be a black metal. It's just, I think the opening riff maybe sounds black metal. Then when everything else goes on it, Adam puts all this other top stuff and it just creates it something else. And we've always been, especially me and Simon, I've always been one to like that orchestral thing and that orchestral build and strings and stuff. So that's why we decided to write that.
I probably nudged it in that way, to be honest, and certainly I made sure that the vocals had got a bit more black metal in there, and kind of I'm a big black metal fan anyway, you know, so I wanted to sort of move it a bit more in for that track. But yeah, it's just a question, you know, all the songs are different, and it was like that was the one that we were gonna explore.
Interesting stuff as well, you say, with black metal. I don't listen to a lot of black metal, to be honest. I like what's in and stuff like that, but I can't stand blast beats. I absolutely detest blast beats.
I'm not bothered about blast beats.
I don't really.
Blast beat, but it's, to me, it's, if you notice, we haven't got blast beats. We've just got Bish like hammering that, boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we make a lot of tribal stuff come in.
Yeah,
stuff like that. But I can't see point in going. It's
its effect when you're using it all the time.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with us. Yeah. We don't want people to be bored. We don't want to be bored. We want to constantly engage, and the blast beats are fine for effect. But when you're constantly doing it all the time, it's just, well, every song sounds the same then.
Washing machine metal.
And that's not really what Bish is about as a drummer. He's all animal power, aren't you? And tribal and
groove.
Then definitely. What's the point, really? That's.
I mean, that's the thing. We might write a song if Bish isn't there or whatever. He might be on his holidays again. But we might write a song, and in our head, we're just writing it to maybe.
Yeah.
Then when we come and Bish comes in it, and the groove changes to whatever, just by what his take on it.
And then that's the thing. The riffs.
Anybody comes with a riff, somebody will come with a different time signature for it, maybe. And then it just becomes a new animal.
Yeah.
And it happens quite a lot.
And we're very free to do that. We've always had the freedom to go, I want to do this to that bit. And then we try it. There's never any sort of gatekeeping. There's like, let's make the best product we can make.
And it's the case of that. I mean, even the drummer's going to say, "Can you play this like this?"
Yeah.
Yes, can you put that snare there instead of there? We'll encourage each other's own instruments, even though we know not all about them. But we get the point. We try and get the ideas across some way, and that's why it works, I think.
And it's actually quite an emotional song as well. That I wrote it about my dad dying, so it's veiled underneath a lot of stuff. But anybody that knew him, there's all little clues in the lyrics, so it's actually quite emotional for me to sing it as well. So
yeah, Time to Face the End for One Last Time is the epitaph at the end, isn't it? Yeah. No, that's you're right. It is an emotional piece, that, and you know, I'm like you. My father passed away last year, and that was traumatic. And yeah, I think when I've interviewed bands this year, especially in like the post metal genre, and I've always been asking myself this question, almost rhetorical. It's like, why now at age 41 do I only want to listen to miserable or traumatic or really heavy mid-paced metal, and Depeche Mode and The Cure? That's it. It's like mid-paced extreme metal.
Depeche Mode is post Clark you listen to, yeah?
Say that again.
The Depeche Mode is going to be post Vince Clark that you listen to.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
You're on the miserable side. You don't listen to all.
No, just can't get enough. No. I started in 1983 with Construction Time again. with Depeche Mode. But no, I do. And again, when I review 8 albums a week, and when this came through, I'm always going to review it because we make a point of prioritizing bands from England and the wider UK. And and I went on Encyclopedia Metal, was like, oh fucking hell, 54 minutes, right? Straight up, get ready for this. But do you know what I did? I put it on and did a countryside walk, and that was perfect. By the time I got to track number 3, with that beat, I was like, oh fuck me, this is amazing music. And that's what did it for me. And then when I sat down and made my notes, it was even better. Not just as good, even better, because I could understand it and follow the story. So can I just double check? Obviously, there are various references to Chernobyl. Is this a concept album about Chernobyl?
No. Or are there other... The first 3, the intro and the first 2 tracks are... Metamorph is it's about John Carpenter's The Thing, actually, but from the point of view of the creature.
Oh, okay.
So that's the spin on it. That's the and it's that's the there is some subtext to it about everything becoming the same. So the creature wants to absorb and assimilate everything, and actually kind of what the song's about is this is how the world's going. You know, when you walk down the street and it's like you can go to any city now around the world and it looks like the same thing, and you're losing all the individuality and the identity is being lost. So that's what the creature wants. It wants everything to be it. And this is what it feels like a lot of the great leaders want as well. They want us all to be the same. And once you lose, you know, I've traveled quite extensively, and once you start losing the identity of a place, well, it's not that place anymore, is it? It's quite worrying the way that things are just becoming so bland and samey, you know. So that's Metamorph. McCready follows on from that with you know, that was McCready's little bit from The Thing.
Yeah.
All That Will Burn was actually written out of anger at the invasion of Ukraine.
Right.
And so all the lyrics in that are right at the beginning. It was written like first couple of weeks when they invaded. So that's that's what that's about. What else forgot? Fragments is actually about Alzheimer's and the loss of yourself.
Oh, okay. Loss of one's ego.
I've got, you know, there's some family members who've been had to deal with that, and so that was quite poignant as well. And then, like I said, with Space, it was losing my dad and finding a way of unleashing some of that pain, I think.
Did a good job.
It's just how that
Spirit
info film is traumatizing.
Yeah,
so
Spirit.
It's kind of the fun track of the album, isn't it?
Spirit's the most fun, actually. Yeah, it's a straight up kind of horror song about the perils of being dragged underwater, I guess. Yeah.
And again, it's a bit like the Threads thing. It's stuff that we got shown at school that absolutely traumatized a lot of us.
Yeah, the main actor in that's the guy from ID, isn't it? You know, that 1994 football hooligan film. Yeah, good actor.
Yeah, we were at school when that came out, and there was they used to bus kids up from the area where they were filming up to our school, and I kept getting promised it was going to eat there were bits of corpses kicking about all over there was an old hospital, one of the places they were filming, that had been demolished, and there were all these corpses there, and he was gonna get me one of the bits of corpses off the film set, but he never came up with it. So that was a constant regret of mine. But we have been in touch actually with they're doing a new documentary about Threads, and we've been selling the T-shirt with the traffic warden from Threads on, right back from when we did Bloodstock. So we've kind of, it's always been a bit of a theme and a bit of an icon that we've used because we're just big fans of the whole thing. I mean, that it was absolutely traumatic. It is one of the most brutal bits of television drama that we've ever put out. So. Yeah,
especially for Sheffielders as well. That
the fact that you can watch your hometown, worse than your British home stores being blown. Although I quite like seeing British home stores being blown.
I've not been dragged there on Saturday afternoon to look at lighting.
Best film to come out of Sheffield, in my opinion, and me and my brother-in-law love this film. Not entirely serious here. When Saturday Comes, 1996, John Bean. Jimmy's the best player in Sheffield.
I'd probably put Four Lions up there.
That's in there, isn't it?
You're close to me on that one.
I think Kes will be in Sheffield, won't it? Or Barnsley? Is it?
Barnsley,
yeah. Right. Well, I think we better bring the interview to an end, only because it's getting late. But I just want to say to the viewers, All That Will Burn is Already on Fire was released on the 6th of July. There's a CD version of this, isn't there? Is there a vinyl?
Yeah, you can get the CDs on Bandcamp. It's on our website shop as well. So and there are a few shops starting to sell it as well. But it's out there. You can get it. It's very nice.
When's your next gig then? Because like you said, you're not going to be doing a 15-day run through the UK. What have you got lined up?
We finished. We played a couple of shows in Manchester recently, and then we're all either on holiday or getting married. I've just come back. Bishop's just going. Gary's getting married in October. We're looking at starting up again November, December. So it's been quite a roller coaster getting to this point. So I think we're taking a bit of time to just suck it all in.
Yeah.
And
so we've got a keyboard player joining us now because a lot of the stuff with the strings on album we couldn't do live, so we decided we need it. He's kind of an ad hoc member. He's going to be a member, but
when he can join us,
when he can't
join in.
He's a guy called Rob Richardson, who's one of the artists on 2000 AD. So
wow,
Fat Robot Art.
Yeah, so he's currently doing Judge Rico, I think. Yeah, in the magazine. So
when do you think you'll start writing new material? I mean, obviously you don't want to be thinking about it yet. You've just put out a couple.
Well ahead of it. We've got two.
You've already got two news.
Two are done. Just need some lyrics on them. But
EP or an album? What are you thinking?
Sorry?
What are you thinking? An EP next or an album?
Thought about an EP actually to keep the momentum going. Might not be these two though. Maybe one of these and another one, but we'll have to see. But we're probably only 6 months away from releasing something else. We've got time for another couple of tracks. For that,
we right.
And then we'll probably see another album in 2030.
This one took 5 years, but we did have the world go into a lockdown.
We did, yeah.
All the way things are going. Well, no, I not.
Yeah, look out at the end of the year then, because you're definitely going to be in some polls for album of the year. You'll definitely be in that Scream Blast Repeat one in our video for the top 50 albums. I'm sure, like you said, all the reviews have been positive.
Yeah.
Angry Metal Guy and various other ones. I'm sure you'll be good contenders for those end of year polls as well. So thank you very much for joining us on the channel. I'm honoured to be the first person to do a video interview for this album. It's definitely in my top 3 albums of the year. And I was looking, I've reviewed 161 albums, I think, so far. In fact, I can give you the number. Yeah, 161, and this is in the top 3. So what does that tell you?
That's amazing.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us.
When do we get his money?
No, you're meant to be paying me, are you?